That's why I say, brothers, your truth is on the other side of your mask. Brother Finley said it is impossible to hide and see at the same time.
Is it not written in your law that ye are gods? You understand what I'm saying? So it just depends on what level you on based on, whether you're human or whether you're immortal.
At ease. It's your boy Soul Immortal. Your truth is on the other side of your mask. I'm going to say it again. Your truth is on the other side of your mask, right? Now, I'll admit, brothers, I may have been wrong. Kinda, right? You know, I'm in the middle of a study session, man, and I said, you know what, let me just fire this camera up and do this thing, you know, on camera, right? When I say I may have been wrong, like I always say that, in order for a man to evolve, right? I say that it's important, it's imperative that a man must kill his ego. You know, but to be honest, can you kill your ego? If you can kill your ego, is it a smart thing to do? All I know is that every single time I've elevated, whether it's every single time I've elevated on a spiritual level, gain more knowledge, gain more financial, financial gain, it's always came right after I kill this ego, right? Now, to get to the bottom of this, what I was doing was triangulating, right? I was coming from two sources. One source being The Secret of the Immortal Self by Guy Finley, right? And the other book being, the seven spiritual laws of success by Deepak Chopra, right? Now, to be honest, neither one of these books are in my top 5, right? I'm not a big fan of neither one of these guys, but these books definitely have some knowledge to help us get to the bottom of should man kill his ego, right? Now, I go straight to Guy Finley, man. In the chapter he has talking about it's impossible. It's called It's Impossible to Hide and See at the Same Time. The brother has some nuggets, right? And he starts off talking about just giving a scenario. He said a lot of times in this world, he says a celebrity will pass away due to taking their own life, right? And he says the world responds to it a certain way. The media responds to it a certain way. And he's asking himself, like, is there really even a point to this? But then the brother says, the media likes to serve this kind of misery to the public in order to feed itself. But then he says this. He says, but for the aspirant who wishes to awaken from the dream of this life, reports such as these can serve a much different and higher purpose. What does Brother Finley mean, right? What is he talking about? He says the shock of such stories, as is almost always the case when we learn of some beloved celebrity taking his or her life, is that we're predisposed, even readily deceived into believing that a person's manicured appearance is the same as his actual character, right? I mean, think about in recent news, man. I think the brother named Michael Williams recently took his life, suicide. I believe he overdosed, right? And I can remember seeing on the gram and seeing on the book and seeing on on Twitter, everybody's talking about like, oh dang, like wow, like we didn't see that coming, And I think the reason why people gravitate to stories like this is because when we look at people on a pedestal, or when we look at anybody outside of ourselves, we assume that whatever they're putting out is what they really are. We assume that the issues that we have on a regular basis, on a daily basis, are only ours, and everybody else is just immune to this. Even looking at brother Jada and Will, right? Their marriage is all on blast, and they're talking about stuff that happens in the bedroom. They're talking about how that just the ups and downs of their marriage. Like, do they really even love each other? And talking about Tupac and all kind of stuff. And people are looking at that situation, and they're drawn to it because One, they say, oh man, like y'all have put on y'all have put on a show for us the last 20 years. Like we thought y'all were perfect. You know, y'all got the mansions, the beautiful kids, like life is good. Like, are you telling me you have problems? And a lot of people are saying or acting, you know, shocked behind this. Like somehow some people are immune to it. Brother Philly even goes on to say, he says people respond like, I can't believe it. Like they always seem like they were so happy-go-lucky. You know, people in this world are clutching pearls when they see people going through a thing, right? Then the brother says this. He says, this general sense of disbelief has a specific cause coming to our present level of consciousness. The real reason that we believe any public performance, be it that of some well-known star or our own friends and loved ones, is that we are all, to one extent or another, actors on a stage. Then the brother says the true purpose of any mask, whether that of others or our own, is to cover up the pain that hides behind it. Now, brother, we can't go over that last part and act like it didn't say what it said. You know what I'm saying? You know, to not dive into that would be like leaving meat on the bone. The brother said, you know, to one extent or another, we are all actors on a stage. In other words, we are all living behind the mask, right? Think about that. Even before social media became social media, this is the way that it was. You know, you would have families presenting themselves as you know, the freaking cleavers. You know, kids are dressed all nice and mother going to church and daddy's doing, you know, when lo and behold, you know, whole time that family was going through the same thing that the next door neighbor was going through the exact same thing that the couple on the end of the street was going through. But everybody lives behind this mask. Social media just put light on it. Think about this. Every single person that you follow on the gram, is winning. On some level or another, everybody is winning. Nobody on the planet is going through hard times. Everybody's life is just so happy-go-lucky. When we know that's not true. Man. Think about when you see people, you know, buying new homes and they're posting their new homes on the gram, right? Why aren't these same people making posts, you know, in the dark when their lights are out? You know, saying, hey, man, like I done missed 2 payments, man. The electric man done cut me off. You know, y'all have a good day. Nobody's making those type posts. People are making a post on the new Benz or the new Beamer or the new whatever. But nobody's sitting there posting saying, hey, man, like my car got 700,000 miles on it. I got 4 different wheels on it. Paint coming off. You know, but God is good. Nobody's posting that stuff, man. So in a nutshell, what Brother Finley was saying is that everybody is living behind a mask. Everybody is, you know, every person is an actor on this stage of life, right? So what it comes down to is self-referral over object referral. And that's what led me to Brother Chakra's book, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, right? Now in the chapter called The Law of Pure Potentiality, just to kind of give you the vibe of what he's talking about, this is what he says. He says, when you discover your essential nature and know who you really are, in that knowing itself is the ability to fulfill any dream that you have, because you are eternal possibility, the immeasurable potential, all that was, is, and will be. There is no separation between you and this field of energy. The field of pure potentiality is your own self. And the more you experience your true nature, the closer you are to the field of potentiality. Now, that's what we've been talking about the last few videos. I know in the power circle, that's what we've been going in on heavy. You know, knowing self, knowing who we come from, knowing that we're made in the likeness of the all, and moving in that, right? But then the brother gets to the point talking about self-referral over object referral. And this is when he's getting to the meat and potatoes of this thing, man. The brother said, the experience of self or self-referral means that our internal reference point is our own spirit and not the objects of our experience. In other words, the cars, the clothes, the homes, right? He said the opposite of self-referral, self, is object referral. In object referral, we are always influenced by the objects outside of self, which include situations, circumstances, people, and things. Then it says this: in object referral, we are constantly seeking the approval of others. Our thinking and our behavior are always in anticipation of a response. It is therefore fear-based. It is therefore fear-based. So really, what it comes down to when you're talking about this whole ego thing, it comes down to where you're coming from. It comes down to what place you're coming from. Let me go to this next part. The next part says, in object referral, your internal reference point is your ego. The ego, however, is not who you really are. The ego is your self-image. It is the social mask. It is the role you are playing. It's crazy how two different authors are saying the exact same thing. It says your social mask thrives on approval. It wants to control. It wants to sustain. It said it wants to control, and it's sustained by the power because it lives in fear. Your true self, which is your spirit, your soul, is completely free of those things. Let's ponder on that, brother. Let's ponder on that. So really what it comes down to, really what it comes down to is your internal point, your internal reference point. From what place are you coming from? From what place are you coming from? Let's think about that. This world operates on hypnotic rhythm, right? But what you have to ask yourself is, my mind, my thoughts, my emotions, like what am I bouncing that off of to swing that pendulum? What am I bouncing it off of? What it's saying when it talks about your internal reference point, it's saying that either you're bouncing that thing off of spirit, which is the all, which is God, whatever you want to call that, or you bouncing off that, or are you bouncing it off the approval of this world? Or you bouncing it off people and places and things, right? What's your internal reference point? So taking your internal reference point into consideration, understanding that those that operate in self are tied to spirit world, and those that operate in objects of this world are tied to ego. Knowing that, can you kill the ego? Should you kill the ego? The answer is yes, you can. Now, should you? You would be crazy to. You would be crazy to kill the ego. What do you mean, soul? Think about it, man. Think about this realm we live in. Think about this world we live in, right? This world can't operate without the swinging of the pendulum. Nothing can exist in this world without its polar opposite. To kill the ego would be to kill the self. And I'm talking about on both levels, as above, so below. The only way you can kill your ego is to take your own life. As above, so below. You kill the ego, you're also killing your third dimensional possibilities of time to that spiritual world. You have to have both, man. It goes back to in the book, in the Kabbalion, in the chapter The Divine Paradox. It talks about half truths, right? It says there are some people, and I'm paraphrasing like crazy. It's saying like there are some people that have a half truth. These people, they pretty much roam the world and they say, like we're fully aware that this world is an illusion. And these are facts. Like everything that we can see, taste, and touch is only an interruption in God energy, right? We're aware that it's an illusion. But it says the people that know that and stand back and act like they're immune to the laws that govern this world, it says these people only have a half truth. He says those that have full understanding are aware that it's fake, but we have to conduct ourselves as if it's real. In other words, we have to act as if. In other words, we have to play the game of life. We have to play the game of life. So should you kill the ego? No. The object of the ego is to understand what it is, to respect it for what it is, and to live on the opposite side. To live on the opposite side, man. I don't know, brothers. I know. Brother Guy Finley wrapped that chapter up, man. He said some heavy words. He says The first step in uncovering any lost treasure, whether that of sunken gold or to realize one's true purpose in life, is to remove the overburden, the accumulated debris that conceals it. Which brings us to one last thought for those who hope to see the face of the immortal self. It is spiritually impossible to hide and see at the same time. That's why I say, brothers, your truth is on the other side of your mask. Brother Finley said it is impossible to hide and see at the same time. But I'm telling you, man, the ego, I'm telling you, anything that separates you from anyone else, that's your ego. Anything that's, I'm talking about anything that makes you, say, well, these people are that. Anything that makes you say, well, anything that puts you in a box that separates you from everybody else, you're living in the objective world, man. And I said that before. I said, once you hit, there's levels to enlightenment, man, that never end. I said, but if you're still to the point where you're still living in a faction, like you're still looking at people as white and black and rich and poor and wealthy and this and Christian and if you're still looking at the world like that, brother, you're living in an objective world. You're refusing to tap into self, because once you tap into self, you tap into all, then you realize that all is one. So anything that makes you think that all is not one, anything that still puts you in the competitive state of anyone, you're living in the ego. You're living in the ego. There is no competition if you and your brother are the same. There is no competition, man. The objective of this life, one of the many objectives of this life, right? It's to bridge the gap. And what I mean is like the version of yourself that you present to the world needs to be the version of yourself that you are when you're sitting in four walls by yourself, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, brothers, it's a prison. And I know because I've done it. It's a prison. It's a prison to live in this imaginary world that you're presenting on social media, that you're putting out, to the world, that you're letting your neighbor know, and come and close your front door and be living a life of misery. Brother, that is a spiritual prison. That is a spirit. That is living life behind a mask. That is living life tied to the ego. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you separate yourself from things, man, anytime you putting out a false sense of security, brother, you are living in the ego.